I did want to move on to our next story, but Jesse makes a good point about American interventionism and being involved across the world, and I think what galls a lot of Americans is just the inconsistency in this thing. Whereas we look at Ukraine and we see a smaller country that got invaded by their larger, more powerful rival, and there's another story where we're on the side of the larger, more powerful rival, and that is in the Middle East, where I want to look at this week in Israel Palestine, because we cannot look away. So, this one first from NPR. For the first time, the UN backed panel is officially calling what is happening in northern Gaza famine. This is a very precise definition from people who study, famine and rampant hunger, and now they're saying this is a famine and it is entirely man-made and can be halted and reversed. It is currently so the famine classification is in effect in Gaza City and is projected to expand to other areas like Khan Yunis by the end of September. Um, the people in Gaza now dying of starvation are never more than a few miles from warehouses filled with food aid that they have no way to reach. Leslie, thoughts on the starvation, the intentional starvation taking place in Gaza?
I have to take the side of Miss Rachel, right? I heard her on NPR, and she really is just the epitome of goodness. And anybody who's a mother, if you are watching your child starve to death, it would just be the worst tragedy when there's just food a short distance away and people are being murdered who are trying to distribute the food and report on the restrictions on accessing the food. It really is one world or no world. And the vast majority of the people in Gaza have nothing to do with Hamas or this conflict, and yet they are suffering. We know that this is a corrupt war, that Netanyahu wants to stay in power, and this is his avenue. And the human rights abuses are horrific. It is a very complicated situation because this hatred in this region has been going on for, centuries, possibly, definitely decades. And there has been no um, there's been no solution so far, but eliminating the Palestinians is not the way to lasting peace, certainly. And it is just a tragedy that we are watching this unfold.
Yeah, we're watching, and our tax money is, helping pay for it. Riley, it sounds like Leslie was saying, Israel's proposed solution is to eliminate the Palestinians. They've called up 60,000 more reservists as they intend to occupy Gaza City. So excuse me, sorry, another one from NPR here. So the 60,000 reservists are due to begin reporting for duty in September, and that will bring the total to 120,000 mobilized reservists. The plan is to encircle Gaza City, send soldiers in, and then later on send soldiers into central Gaza. Uh, Also, this week from the BBC, Israel is telling medics and aid groups to prepare for this Gaza City evacuation, planning to move 1 million residents out of Gaza City. Um, that sounds definitionally like ethnic cleansing, no?
I 100% agree with you, and I think that is what they're aiming to do. Whenever people talk about Israel and Palestine, I don't know how many people have made the correlation, but I just go back to our history with our own indigenous peoples. As
Yes.
an indigenous person, it's completely a parallel. We existed on we existed on a land, and then people came and decided that they wanted the land, and they like to paint this nice, pretty picture that we had a mutually beneficial relationship and a nice, happy Thanksgiving. But meanwhile, people were being murdered, they were being assaulted, they were being intentionally starved. The reason that the American buffalo or bison doesn't really exist across the United States anymore is because it was intentionally wiped out to create a induced famine and starvation and destroy people's entire way of life. So and then we had the Great Migration or the Trail of Tears, and really we're going to give you an option, but we're not really going to give you an option. A lot of people are going to die along the way. That's I see no other reason for them to do what they're doing than to just repeat history that we've created within our own country.
And I think it's a lot of the blind spot I think a lot of Americans have for this is precisely because our own history was whitewashed and we don't look at the what we did. Our the foundation of this country's wealth is built on land theft, basically. Oh, and speaking of land theft, it's not just Gaza. On the other side of Israel, um, final approval was given on Wednesday for a controversial settlement in the occupied West Bank that would effectively cut the territory in two. This is settlement development E1 on an open tract of land east of Jerusalem that has been under consideration for more than 2 decades, but frozen due to U.S. pressure during previous administrations, including Republican administrations. Um, the international community overwhelmingly considers Israeli settlement construction in the West Bank to be illegal and an obstacle to peace. Jesse, I mean, they're going for it. They're doing the whole thing.
Yeah,
Israel, with the Trump administration's approval, appears to be attempting to conquer all of Palestine.
right. Yeah, which I think, I'm going to say something that I'd ask people to think about for a few minutes. How can we condemn Hamas when we look at what the Palestinian Liberation Organization did, which was unilaterally disarm, even though Israel didn't disarm, so that they could keep their land in the West Bank? And what has happened? We've seen
Yeah.
tens of thousands of olive trees bulldozed. We've seen open and illegal annexation. We've seen settlers just running lynch mobs, just killing Palestinians for daring to stand up on their land that they negotiated for. And because they don't have any guns and because they're not shooting back, the settlers are getting away with it, and the Israeli defense forces are protecting the settlers. So how can we truly how can we truly condemn Hamas for armed resistance when we've seen what happens when you do unarmed resistance? Just something to think about. I also wanted to point out, I'm on record as wanting every U.S. military base overseas closed down, just transition for all of the military personnel, find them something productive to do. We should not have an overseas military, period, dot, the end. And the reason for that is because if we actually need a military to help protect against human rights abuses, we would be bombing Israel right now. There is no country on earth that is doing so much intentional ethnic cleansing, induced famine, like putting, it's like, oh, well, they have trans rights. Yeah. And some of their trans resistors are now being put into prison for refusing to go participate in this genocide. They are absolutely out of control, anti-democratic, a corrupt government, open fascists in their government, loudly laughing and talking about wanting to eliminate all of Gazans. And the United States is standing behind this and, in fact, allowing it to continue. Our military is not being used for peace. Our military is not being used to help protect people across the world. I think the best thing we could do, disarm, take care of ourselves, offer support and aid to countries who are fighting against oppression. But while we are the global oppressors, we should just quit with the BS and stop pretending like it's anything other than it obviously is.
Yeah, that is a apartheid authoritarian state, and I think the Trump administration looks at it as an example